Next year in the NBA is going to be one of the best years in the NBA we have seen in a long time. So many great trades and free agency signings have happened this offseason, and the NBA draft in 2022 was absolutely incredible. So much is up in the air next season, and there is a whole lot to be excited about when it comes to the National Basketball Association. Although I think one of the biggest storylines next season, or at least one of the most interesting topics for the 2022-23 season, will be Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers. If you guys didn't know, the Portland Trail Blazers are my favorite NBA team, so I follow them very closely, and not surprisingly, Damian Lillard has been my favorite player for years now. But if there was one thing I would like to change about Damian Lillard's career, is that he could win a championship with the Portland Trail Blazers. But I think next season is really his last chance to win a championship. Yes, the 2023 season will be his last chance to get a ring, and here is why. Damian Lillard just signed a 2-year contract extension that will keep him in Portland until 2027, relatively close to the end of his career. And if he hasn't won a championship by that point, I don't think he really ever will. They signed Jeremy Grant and Gary Payton II this offseason, which is going to help them a lot when it comes to making the playoffs next season. Before they signed Gary Payton and traded for Jeremy Grant, they were just a team who had Damian Lillard, who was injured, and a young guard named Anthony Simons, who put a team on his back last season and really carried. The odds have always been stacked against the Portland Trail Blazers, but they always come through, well, most of the time, which I really like about them. They always come through in the regular season, but when it comes playoff time, they are one of the biggest choking teams in NBA history. In the last 10 years or so, the Portland Trail Blazers have made the playoffs 8 times. In 8 of 10 seasons in the NBA, Damian Lillard has been in the NBA playoffs. But unfortunately, time and time again, the Portland Trail Blazers
a season with high hopes, but they have struggled. The Portland Trail Blazers.
Part of this is just being the 2019 NBA playoffs, when Damian Lillard hit that crazy shot to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, and they advanced to the second round to play the Denver Nuggets, who they beat in 7 games, and then went on to the Western Conference Finals to play the Golden State Warriors, who they got swept by. They've had a few other good playoff runs since then, but when you look at their roster, this season, they have a big 5 of Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Jusuf Nurkic, Gary Payton II, and Jeremy Grant. Sure, the NBA media can say what they want. They can say the Portland Trail Blazers won't even make it out of the first round next year. Some people are saying that the Portland Trail Blazers won't even be a play-in team. But Stephen A. Smith, one of the best NBA insiders of all time, has always believed in Damian Lillard. He has always given him a shot, and he believes that Damian Lillard is one of the most underrated superstars in NBA history. And I think so too. If we're really being honest with ourselves, Damian Lillard is probably a top 10 player in the league, if not at least top 20. But some people don't even think he's a top 20 player in the league right now. And yeah, I kind of get it. Damian Lillard was out for more than half of the season last season. He only played 29 games. But if he is going to be back, it is going to be scary for the league, because I think Damian Lillard is really adjusted now, and he's working really hard this offseason. And I think a lot is going to go right for him next season with the core that he has. Chauncey Billups is going to be his second year in the head coach position with the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think now that Chauncey is in his second season, I think we'll see a lot more consistency from him in the starting lineup and stuff. And I think we'll really be able to see what the Blazers can do on full display. Big man Jusuf Nurkic has consistently been one of the top big men in the NBA for years now, and has carried the Blazers' load in the dirty work in the paint. And Damian Lillard, obviously, we know what he can do. He can raise up from the logo. He's one of the best shooters in NBA history, one of the top three-point shooters. He is at least top 10, I think, in three-pointers made in a career. He is incredible. We know what he can do. The Blazers traded C.J. McCollum last season, but no biggie. They just got Jeremy Grant this offseason, a great player who can be a number 2 option for the Blazers in years to come. Gary Payton, who just won a championship with the Golden State Warriors, can bring the Blazers ring experience and hopefully make them a contender in the West next season. Jusuf Nurkic, obviously, like I already talked about, is incredible. And Anthony Simons, the hidden gem of the Portland Trail Blazers, in my opinion, is incredible. Last season, on a broken team, Anthony Simons 17 points per game after Damian Lillard went down with an injury, and the Portland Trail Blazers were looking very, very weak as an NBA team. In fact, the Portland Trail Blazers had one of the worst records in the second half of the season last year due to Damian Lillard being out. Jusuf Nurkic was out eventually. Even their young star Anthony Simons was missing games at the end of the season because the Blazers were just so freaking bad. A lot is up in the air with the Portland Trail Blazers, but I do legitimately think that they will be a playoff team next season, if not a contender. This team is really, really good, but I just think the NBA media doesn't acknowledge that enough.